How's it, guys? Welcome back to Money Talks with Ekow. Today we are diving into the two-pot retirement system. It's a major shift in how South Africans are managing their retirement savings. And today we are going to discuss this with no other than Percy Singo, the renowned author of, you guessed it right, How to Make Your Salary Work for You. And also, Percy is a distinguished finance influencer, but his primary business is a property investor. And also, he's a highly sought after public speaker. So, Percy,
yes.
Welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me today. And I'm excited to be here.
Yes. By the end of this session, you are going to have a clearer understanding of how the two-pot retirement system works, its advantages, and what to consider in preparing for your retirement planning. And Percy is here to demystify everything for us. So, Percy, yes, let's get right into it.
Okay.
So, for someone who is not familiar, right, with this topic, could you explain what the retirement system is about, the two-pot retirement system?
Yes.
What and why was it introduced?
Okay, no, thank you so much for the question. What I'm going to say is that this is called a two-pot system, but actually for somebody who has been working for many years, it's actually three pots. For somebody like me who have been in the industry for 14 years, so I have three pots. I don't have two pots, although we are calling it a two-pot system. But for somebody who's new in the industry, who's going to start working from the 1st of September, they will only have two pots. So let me explain first the three pots for somebody who has been working before the 31st of August. That person will have a three pots. The first pot is the vested pot. That's where your money is at now. It's called a vested pot. That's where your money is. And let's say you've got 1 million in the pot. Which means you qualify to get 30,000, because for everyone who has more than 300,000 in the pot, they will be having 30,000 in their saving pot. But anyone with less than 300,000, they will use the 10% factor. Let's say, for example, you've got 250,000 in your vested pot. It means in your saving pot, they will transfer only 25,000, the 10% of that money. But if it's more than 300,000, you get 30,000, which means anyone who's going to withdraw now on the 31st of on the 1st of September, is only going to access the 30,000. That's the only balance you will have. They are calling it a seed. It's more like they've put a seed for you of up to 30,000, depending if you have more than 300,000 or less. But what is going to happen going forward to somebody who just started working, you will be having only these two pots, the saving pot and the investment pot. So when you contribute, let's say you're contributing 10,000 every month. 1/3 of your contribution is going to your saving. And then the 2/3 of your contribution will be going to your retirement pot. And then this saving pot, you are accessible to it. You are able to access that money. And then there is no limit to how much you can access on the saving pot. But you have to build it, because the seed is only 30,000. Which means if you want to take it on the 1st of September, you can only take 30,000. But obviously you have to check at other things like tax, because you won't really get the 30,000, you'll get less depending on your tax brackets, because some people they are in 36, some they are in 41, so it will depend on that to say 30,000 times your tax bracket, and that's what you will get. I was doing calculations for myself. I realized that after tax for that 30,000, I'll get something like 18,000. Which is no more than 30,000, which somebody might be thinking I'm going to get the full 30,000.
Yes.
So you're not going to get the full 30,000. You will get 30,000 minus the tax bracket.
Yes.
And then there will be the 2/3. 2/3, you won't be able to access that money. That money will be going there purely just for retirement.
Yes.
So you'll only have access to it at the end when you retire. But it won't come to you as money. You won't receive it as money. You are going to receive it in a form of annuity.
Yes.
Like you have to buy an annuity, like living annuity, for example, where you'll get something every month as more like a salary every month when you go to retire.
Yes.
So I feel like the reason why the government decided to implement the two-pot system, it was because people were even misusing the money for retirement for other things. So now you are forced to say this 2/3. It's just mainly for retirement purposes. But I don't think that's the only reason why they are implementing the two-pot. I think that they are also raising fund. I feel like it's a fundraiser for the government in a way, because they will going to make a lot of money, because the tax is a lot that they will be deducting from everyone who's withdrawing. So I feel like the government as well is going to make a lot on tax, and then I just hope that money can be used productively, as we are facing a lot as a country financially. And then your vested pot, vested pot will still exist for somebody who has been working previously in the previous years,
before the
31st of August. So for that person, the vested one will be there. Let's say you had $1 million, then they took 30,000 and then they put it in your saving pot, which means inside there you will still be having 970,000. So the reason why you have this pot is because there were agreement and rights we had before for this pot. So they don't want to change the rights that we had for this pot. So they want those rights to remain. So people were even considering to resign so that they can access their money, afraid that they might lose it because of the two-pot. So they are like, no, you don't have to resign. We will leave those rights as they are inside the pot as vested pot. So that's what is happening. You have a vested pot which has your previous contributions, which those contributions you still use the old rights of the old system before the two-pot system. Then you have the two-pot system, which everyone who's new, just got into unemployment, doesn't have the vested pot. They only have the saving pot and the investment pot, which 1/3 is going to your saving pot and 2/3 is going to your retirement fund.
Okay, so with the two-pot system, if I'm understanding, and just to summarize what you're just saying to have clarity, is that in the two-pot system, you've got your accessible fund, which is 1/3, that you can get access to at any time. And then your 2/3 will be the preserved fund, where you only cash in come retirement, basically.
So basically that's the way it is. But when you withdraw, you can only withdraw once per tax year. Once per tax year. Which means if you decide now to say, okay, I'm going to withdraw my money in February, you can withdraw in February 2025. And then you still withdraw on March 2025. 2025
each tax year, because the tax year,
different tax year. It's in the same year, but different tax years. So they are focusing on the tax year. You can only withdraw once per tax year, and the minimum you can withdraw is 2,000. But there is no maximum. So let's say on the 1st of September, I receive the 30,000 as a seed, which is going into my saving investment. Then every month, let's say for example, I'm contributing 13,000. Then they are taking 1/3 of that money, which is something like 4,000. And then they are putting it into my savings account. Let's say I want to withdraw in February. Which means there will be October, November, December, January, February, which is 5 months times the 4,000, which is going 20,000. To be 20,000. Which means by February 2025, I will be having the 20,000 plus the 30,000 because I didn't withdraw now. Okay. So I will be having the 50,000.
Yes.
That 50,000 I can withdraw it all.
Okay.
But there will be that tax factor now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So now let's just talk about the pros and cons of this two-pot retirement system, right?
Yes. Yes.
What are the main advantages?
Yes.
And are there any pitfalls that people should be aware of?
Yes, there is a lot of advantage and there is a lot of disadvantages for this pot. And then I feel like I was doing some calculations earlier on to see if I withdraw just once in my lifetime, 30,000. What was that 30,000 going to be when I retire in 65 years? Let's say I'm 35 years now, so I'm left with 30 years to retirement. So I was calculating to see this 30,000 that I have withdrawn, how much will it be when I reach 65 years?
Yes.
And then I realized that it will be 228,000. Just one 30,000 that you withdraw because of the compounding interest. Because the money, when it's sitting there in the pot, you are getting interest every time. So if you take it just for pleasure and then you are going to just eat that money, you have lost a lot. You didn't just lose 30,000. You lost 30,000 plus the tax that you are going to be taxed now, plus all that compounding interest that you are going to get. Which if you are withdrawing every time, it can go to millions that you are going to lose in your retirement fund as a whole. So it's very important for us to use it when it's necessary. And I don't feel like what the government is saying. The government is saying this one will be good for people who have emergency. To say you'll be able to access this money for emergency. For me, I feel like if a person has plan these things properly, you should have an emergency fund, which is for emergency. Don't use a retirement fund portion as an emergency fund. I feel like a person must have their own emergency fund and not use this money for emergency. But let's say there's somebody with a good business plan. You have a business plan which you have already implemented in a lower scale, in a smaller scale. And then you can see that this business is going good. But the only thing that you don't have is funding. You just need funding so that you can proceed with the business. I wouldn't take it for a business idea that I haven't tested. Because I mean, an idea you can convince yourself. I mean, a mind is a very powerful tool. You can convince your mind to say, this business idea that I have, it's a very good business idea, and then it's going to work out. And then you convince yourself that I'm going to cash out this money and I will use it on this business idea. Only when you start implementing it, you realize that this business idea is not working. So it's very important to try and test it on a smaller scale. You see that it's working. Then when you are saying I'm getting money from my saving pot, you know that you are just going to invest on a working concept that is already there. So I feel like for somebody who's doing it for that purpose, it's a good deal. But if you are taking it for just emergency, you must just have emergency fund. And then so I feel like there is both advantage and disadvantage depending on the purpose. Why are you taking it? And then if you are not going to waste it. I feel like it's very important for us to have a purpose, to say, why am I doing this? You must have a specific purpose. And then there's a saying that says, a man without purpose distract himself in pleasure. So it's very important for us to have purpose, so that when we are doing something, we know the reasons behind, and then why are we doing this?
I mean, it's always important to have purpose. And like you said, a man without purpose is like a headless chicken. Right?
You end up distracting yourself. When you are saying that, you are reminding me of something. You end up distracting yourself in pleasure. You are reminding me of someone. I met another lady sometime in the past, and then I was just talking to her. And then I realized that let's say she has 2 pots. There was a pot of pleasure which was very full.
Yes.
And then the pot of self-development was very empty.
Yeah.
Because she was even telling me to say, Monday, I go to Soweto because there will be this DJ at this club. And Tuesday, I go to Tokoza for this pub, and then there will be this DJ. And when I look at the whole week, I realize that this person is spending the whole week moving from club to club, from club to club.
Yes.
When do they get time for self-development? So I'm just thinking about that, so that it's very important for us to focus on self-development and not have too much pleasure, because you can take that money and waste all of it in pleasure.
Yes. Can you share an example for someone who would like to cash in, and how are they going to be able to maximize what they've cashed in? Or take advantage of this 2-pot system.
Yes. I think in the world there's a lot of systems. But when we come to the world, the most important thing is for us to master the systems so that we use the system. Some of the systems are not good for us, but we can be able to turn them around and use them in our own advantage.
Yes.
So I feel like even the 2-pot system, we cannot just say, don't withdraw. When there's somebody who can change their life through the 2-pot system, depending on what they are using the money for, which they are withdrawing. And obviously, I don't think 30,000 at the moment it's enough. Maybe people must wait a bit and accumulate more on their saving pot until it's certain amount. And then you are focusing on building that small business that you have. And then you are working on it now before you even cash out, so that by the time you cash out, you know that you are going for a business that is working, and then that there is future for this business that I'm going to invest in. Because there's a lot of things that we invest in and then they turn out to be bad for us, and then we waste a lot of money. And then I feel like that's stealing money from your pension. And then if you are to look at it properly, what is going to happen if people don't manage this 2-pot system properly? What is going to happen is that what we call black tax. It's going to be more in the future, because you are going to have parents who don't have enough money during pension, that they will need their kids to bail them out or to assist them going forward. So I feel like this 2-pot system has 2 sides. It can really be very bad for somebody who's just taking the money for pleasure, and then again for somebody who's taking money without a goal to say, this is where I'm going to use it. So I feel like let's not just be in a hurry to say the 1st of September is coming, because I feel like this whole system has shaken the whole country. It's like everyone in their mind, it's a 2-pot,
1st of September.
And 1st of September. But I haven't heard anyone saying this is a plan that I have, which is very constructive, that I'm going to implement. It's like people are just happy for money.
The moral of this point is that don't take the money if you don't have a plan. And even if you have a plan, like a new business venture, do not take that money to test that plan, because you cannot use the money to test something that's not tested. You use it to test something that's already in motion. That's what I'm getting, right? Now, so on that note, Percy, what would you advise a person or someone that just started, their career, versus someone who is closer to their retirement?
I feel like a lot of people who are closer to retirement, or some of them, they had planned their things properly in the past, and then you find these people are ahead in life. I mean, this person is ahead. They've been working for so many years. And I feel like the problem is this. It's because somebody get a job today, and then they want to look like somebody who has been working for 15 years. And it doesn't work like that. You need to go through your own process.
Yes.
That person was once at your place, and then they humbled themselves and lived within their means.
Yes.
And then now they have reached this place where they are getting their returns. Maybe they've invested in different things. They've invested in property, they've invested in shares, and now they have returns, and then they're living in a certain way. That when you arrive into an industry, just because you are both civil engineer, it doesn't mean you must live the same. You have to still go and sow your seed and make sure that that seed, when it brings fruits, that's what you will eat. So don't let somebody who has been in the system make you to eat your seed because that person is eating their fruits.
Yes.
So it's very important for us to go through our own process and understand you just started a career. And then for some people, I feel like I can just tell them to say, stay away from the pots. Focus on building yourself, sacrifice as much as possible, make sure that you save money, and then you invest on things that bring returns. So that in few years to come, you'll be making a lot of returns that you won't even need the pots.
Yes. So I like this advice. It's very, very important and very critical.
Yes.
Because what you've just said, the moral of it is that do not compare your seed when don't eat your seed when someone is harvesting.
Yes.
And do not compare your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20. So Percy, tell me, I mean, you wrote, you know how to make your salary work for you. So you're the expert. It's because you command your platform and you influence a lot of people. So it's very critical that we advise people the right way, right?
Oh, you're right.
Now, are there any specific steps that someone could use to ensure that they maximize the benefit of this two-pot system?
I feel like first of all, we must do research, because at the moment, there's a lot of people who don't even understand what is happening with the two pots. Like I'm saying now, people thought it's only two pots. They didn't know that there is vested pot.
Yes.
And then they are not even doing research. So I feel like we must invest a lot in doing research. I played a lot with calculations, even calculating to see if I'm contributing this much, and then this is my age. By the time I reach retirement, how much will I be having as a total balance? I have those figures, and then although some of them it's you are using what do you call it? It's not like the rates. You cannot determine how much the rate will be in the next 5 years. So it's estimates, but it gives you a proper indication that by the time you go on retirement, on this pot you'll be having this much, and on this pot you'll be having this much, which gives you maybe that confidence to know that you'll have a dignified retirement.
Yes.
And then for somebody, they don't even have the figures, but they want to withdraw.
Yes.
So why don't you focus more on trying to figure out how much will I be having in the pots by the time I went to retirement? And then will that be enough for me to still live the life that I'm living now? Because most people are forced to downgrade at retirement because they don't have money anymore.
Yes.
To continue going further, living on the same standard that they used to live. Yes. So you have to do that research to say, if I want this certain standard by the time I go to pension, and then we change the things around, because at the moment there's a lot of these black tax that is happening. And then I feel like if we want the coming generations not to have the same burden as what we had, we have to do things differently, and then plan much better in a way that our kids, they don't have to support us. We are able to support ourselves in retirement. And you are even able to bless your kids if you decide to say, no, my kid just graduated from university, I want to bless them maybe with an apartment. You are able to do that because you have planned your things properly.
Yes.
So I feel like let's think even for the coming generations to say, for the coming generations, what can I do so that they don't carry out the same burden that I carried out, and then the same black tax that is making me to say I'm unable to save, so that my kids are able to save with ease without worrying about taking care of me.
Yes.
What can I do? So I feel like let's not be in a hurry to withdraw from the two pot.
Yes.
There are more deeper things that we need to look at and work on. Because even if you receive money, if you have bad financial habits, this money is not going to help you. It's just 100%. Going to support your bad habits.
Yes.
So it's very important for us to focus on things like developing good financial habits.
Yes.
So that by the time in 5 years, if you are contributing 4,000 every month, in 5 years you'll be having a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then when you access it, you know that you are going to use it effectively because you equipped yourself with knowledge, you went to seminars, and then you are able to manage your own salary because you are failing already to manage your salary, but you want to manage a portion of your retirement,
which is your legacy. Yes.
Which is your legacy. So it's very important for us to focus on the root problems of money, and then we try to correct those ones. And then we also try to make sure that we equip ourselves, because this issue of finance, I feel like for most of us, let me use the word black people, it's a topic that was very far from us, of financial literacy, which is a topic that we really need to invest on at this time.
Yes.
And the way the things are going in the country, I feel like the government is failing to handle money, and then the citizens as well, they are failing to handle money. So we need this financial literacy from top to bottom.
Yes.
Then we need to equip ourselves, and then the pots, we will see them when we are in a better place to manage the pots.
Yes, because we are the generation of legacy builders.
Yes.
So we cannot be expecting to get to 65.
Yes.
And looking back and say, my kids must take care of me. No, that's not what this generation is about.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. There you have it. I would like to know, do you think this two-pot system will do more good than harm to South African citizens? Share your comments below. Okay, so, I mean, in closing, Percy, what will be your takeaways for our people?
Okay. No. I think the last words will be just to say, I was reading somewhere, and then the article was saying Statistics South Africa has done a research in which their research is saying a life expectancy is now longer than before. Like we live longer than before.
Yes.
Which means you will be more in retirement than before.
Yes.
Which means now we need more money in retirement than the people who lived before us. So it's very important for us to ensure that we don't steal money from our own investment and then our own retirement. So let's make sure that we understand what is happening with the two pots, and then also ensure that if you are taking money from the two pots, let it be money that you are taking that will generate money for you, instead of taking money that in few years to come you won't be able to know what did I do with that money.
Yes.
Which is the same concept with the salary. The reason I wrote the book, it's because a lot of people receive salary, and then in not even a week it's very sad that in few days a person doesn't know what did they do with their salaries. And then also for ladies, I mean, just to give them advice, because I've been seeing a lot of ladies who are taking decisions of maybe you take money and then you give it to your boyfriend because your boyfriend is like, hey, can you assist me here and there?
Yes.
While you are in a relationship, then you end up taking money. I feel like for some ladies, the money of two pot, they're just going to withdraw it, and then they are not going to do anything with it. They're going to give it to a boyfriend, who might end up even leaving them after receiving the money.
Yes.
And then in the next year, when we are looking and we are listening to YouTube channels, we'll be hearing people saying, my boyfriend scammed me of my two pot money.
Yes.
So let's be very careful with the two pot. It's a good system if you are using it in a proper way, and then you understand that the money I'm taking, I'm going to invest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so to summarize, the two-pot retirement system offers the opportunity for us to access a part of our retirement annuity before we hit retirement. But it is important to also consider the tax implication when it comes to accessing that fund and having a purpose in what you're going to use that money that you're going to withdraw for. And so it's very clear in terms of what we need to do. If you're a bit unsure of how to use the two-pot system to plan your retirement, we advise you strongly to speak to a financial advisor. On that note, if you found this video useful, hit the subscribe button, like and share with your loved ones, because you never know, you might save someone's financial future. We'll be happy if you could do that, And as always, you are welcome to leave your questions and thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, be a legacy builder and don't forget to subscribe. Cheers.